These were the words the Galactic Council used when they dismissed Earth as a mere curiosity, a fleeting, insignificant speck in the grand expanse of the galaxy. To them, humanity was nothing more than a loud, annoying child playing at war with toys too small to matter. They laughed at Earth's attempts to join the galactic community, mocked our fragile ships, and dismissed our rapidly advancing technology as nothing more than a spark that would soon die out. The universe's greatest minds had seen it all before, from civilizations rising and falling to the creation of empires that spanned across light years. Humanity's rise? Just another short-lived anomaly. But as the council convened in their high towers, sipping their fine beverages in their grand palaces, the human fleet moved silently through the cold, unyielding expanse of space. Earth's warships, still rough around the edges, were cloaked by technology no one had seen before, and no one understood. The first fleet of humanity was not the perfect, polished force the Galactic Council had expected to see. Far from it. It was ragged. It was imperfect. But it was precisely what the galaxy hadn't accounted for. And that was its greatest strength. The galactic elite had a simple rule: strength equals superiority. The older civilizations had ruled the stars for millennia, their power unchallenged, their empires expansive and ironclad. The idea that a mere human species, with their short lifespan and fragility, could pose a serious threat was laughable. And yet, it was in the very humbling power of human resolve that the Council would soon realize their greatest miscalculation. Commander Alia Cross stood at the helm of the human warship Sentinel, her fingers poised over the controls, eyes focused on the vastness of the dark void ahead. She wasn't just leading a mission, she was leading a revolution that would shake the foundations of the galaxy itself. Asterisk, they think we're weak? Let them laugh, asterisk, she thought. Beside her, Captain Marcus Briggs, a no-nonsense soldier with scars to prove it, watched the distant stars, arms crossed. You hear that, Alia? He muttered. The galaxy's laughing at us. Our fleet is barely more than scrap metal to them. Alia didn't flinch. She'd heard it all before. The Council's endless ridicule. The alien diplomats' smug dismissals of humanity's position in the galaxy. It was all part of the plan. Let them laugh, she replied, her voice low but filled with conviction. Let them underestimate us. That's how we'll win. At the heart of humanity's strength was something the Galactic Council could never comprehend: a relentless drive. When humans were pushed to the brink, they didn't break. They fought harder. They adapted. They innovated. They did not stop. This was a war not just for survival. It was for the very soul of humanity's place in the universe. The Sentinel was not alone. Behind her, in perfect formation, the human fleet surged forward. Dozens of ships, each representing a different aspect of human ingenuity and will, moved like shadows, cloaked in stealth technology that had never been seen by the galaxy's ancient species. Human engineers had spent years reverse engineering the alien tech they had stolen from a prior skirmish with an opportunistic raider species. This wasn't just a fight for territory. This was a fight for respect. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would not bow. The time for mockery was over. The bridge hummed with activity as the crew engaged in final preparations. Lieutenant Sarah Quinlan tapped at the holographic console, and the status of the fleet appeared before them. Earth's greatest military force, dismissing the odds, dismissing the galaxies that were waiting to crush them, was about to strike at the heart of the Galactic Council. I've run the simulations, Sarah said, her tone cold, unyielding. The Sentinel can handle their response. The rest of the fleet, well, we may not have the firepower to match them, but they won't see us coming. Good, Alia replied. We won't need firepower. We need something the Council can't understand. A species willing to take everything they've got, then turn it back on them. Something they never expected. Something we've spent centuries perfecting. A moment of silence hung in the air, thick with anticipation. The crew, just as human as the fleet they commanded, knew what was at stake. They'd fought and bled to get to this point. Now it was their moment to show the galaxy what humanity could do. As the first wave of ships made its way into the Council's core sector, The galaxy's laughter began to die. Far in the distance, the silhouette of a massive, glowing citadel, the Council's grand headquarters, loomed. It was the center of their power, their pride. And Earth was coming for it. They would either recognize humanity's place among the stars, or they would perish, laughed at no more. The galaxy had made a grave mistake, and humanity was ready to make them pay. The universe's greatest mistake was underestimating human resilience. When the Galactic Council first laughed at humanity, they did so with the confidence that no species could rise up against their dominion. The aliens had seen countless empires rise and fall, each one eventually crushed under the weight of their own ambition. Earth's sudden appearance on the galactic stage was nothing more than a fleeting novelty. Or so they thought. But what they didn't understand, what they couldn't understand, was that humanity's greatest strength was never in its technology or its numbers. It was in the unyielding will of its people. Behind the scenes, far from the Council's prying eyes, human ingenuity had already begun its transformation. The road to this point hadn't been paved with simple advancements. It had been carved through secrecy, deception, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. In the quiet labs beneath Earth's military installations, the brightest minds had worked tirelessly, reverse engineering alien technology scavenged from prior conflicts and tailoring it to human hands. The result was something that not only rivaled, but in many ways surpassed the weapons and tools of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Commander Alia Cross wasn't the first to see the potential within humanity. She wasn't the only one who understood that Earth could stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's might. She was simply the one who had the courage to do something about it. She had assembled a team, a secret faction of the best minds and fighters Earth had to offer. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, each contributing their unique skills to a single goal, to turn Earth's so-called weakness into its greatest weapon. Now, as the Sentinel sailed through the black void of space, Alia had come to understand the truth. What the Council had laughed off as humanity's greatest flaws had, in fact, been its greatest assets. When Earth's greatest leaders had their backs against the wall, they fought harder. When they were tested, they innovated. And when the universe pushed them to their limit, they would find a way to turn it all around. The Council had underestimated that. Status report, Lieutenant Quinlan. Alia's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Lieutenant Sarah Quinlan was at her station, fingers moving rapidly over the control panel as data streamed in from every corner of the fleet. "We're in position, Commander. The fleet is ready for the first strike. Shields are holding, stealth technology is active, and we've intercepted the Council's communications. They're still unaware of our presence." "Good," Alia replied, her mind already working ahead. "We move on my signal. We're not here to fight the entire galaxy. We're here to send a message, to show them exactly what happens when they underestimate us." Across the bridge, Captain Marcus Briggs stood still, his gaze fixed on the holographic map that lay in front of him. His deep-set eyes reflected a mixture of determination and something more, something that every soldier in the fleet understood. It was the understanding that their fight wasn't just for victory. It was for validation. Earth had nothing left to prove to the galaxy. This was about forcing the Council to see humanity as a force to be reckoned with, one that couldn't be ignored or ridiculed. "I can't help but feel like we're walking into a trap," Briggs finally said, his voice low. Alia didn't turn to face him. Instead, her eyes remained focused on the tactical display. "We're not walking into a trap, Marcus. We're setting one of our own." The human fleet, though smaller and less technologically advanced than the Council's warships, was a force to be reckoned with. Every ship, from the smallest scout to the largest destroyer, had been equipped with alien technology, stolen, adapted, and now in human hands. The Sentinel alone carried an upgraded stealth system, able to cloak it from the advanced sensors of even the most sophisticated alien warships. It was the perfect tool for infiltration. The human fleet's primary advantage wasn't just its technology. It was the ability to think and act unpredictably, something the Council had never anticipated. As the Sentinel neared its target, a massive planet at the heart of the Council's core, Alia's mind raced. The Galactic Council was about to receive its first real taste of human unpredictability. They had thought humanity would be content to remain on the fringes, begging for a place at the table. But they were wrong. Humans weren't going to beg. They were going to take their place by force. "We're ready," Quinlan announced. "The shields are powered, the disruptors are primed, and all communication lines are blocked. We've entered the Council's core sector undetected." Alia stood tall, her gaze unflinching. "We move now. The universe will know the cost of underestimating humanity." As the fleet moved in, the first wave of human ships cut through the silence of space like ghosts. Their approach was quiet, too quiet. Not a single signal was broadcast. No trace of their presence in the galaxy's vast network. The Council's mighty defenses lay ahead, unprepared for what was about to hit them. And as the first salvo was fired, the galaxy would realize the truth. Humanity was no longer the weakling they had so easily dismissed. Now, they were the predators. The Sentinel cut through the dark expanse of space, its silhouette barely visible against the backdrop of a sprawling Council stronghold. The entire fleet had moved into position, not a word spoken over the comms, the silence heavy with the weight of the task ahead. Humanity's first true strike was about to be delivered. The Council's homeworld, a jewel in the crown of the galaxy's oldest empire, was about to feel the sting of Earth's wrath. Commander Alia Cross stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic display that marked the path of their assault. The rest of the fleet, hidden in the shadows of the massive planet, waited for her signal. They weren't here for a drawn-out battle. This was a surgical strike, a message. The tension in the air was thick, but Alia's face was calm. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. The Council, the self-proclaimed rulers of the galaxy, had thought Earth's place was far behind theirs. They had no idea how quickly everything could change. "Lieutenant Quinlan," Alia said, her voice sharp. "Ready to breach?" Quinlan, her fingers flying across the console, paused for a moment before replying. "We're ready, Commander. The cloak is holding. Disruptors are charged. We'll breach their outer defenses in less than 5 minutes." Alia nodded. The next move would be crucial. Earth wasn't about to make the mistake of fighting the Council head-on. Humanity's strength lay not in brute force, but in its ability to adapt and exploit weaknesses. And the Council had one glaring weakness: their arrogance. On the outskirts of the planet's atmosphere, the human fleet took up position, forming a tight formation to ensure that no single ship could be singled out. Alia watched as the rest of the fleet powered up their engines, silently preparing to launch the first salvo. But this wasn't just a military strike. It was a psychological one. They had to break the Council's confidence before they could even draw their weapons. The clock ticked down. Alia's fingers hovered over the comms panel. Her team was in position, the ships were ready, and everything hinged on the timing. One wrong move, and the element of surprise would be lost. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson they would never forget. "Captain Briggs," Alia called out, her voice steady. "Initiate the strike." Briggs didn't need to be told twice. His orders were clear. With a single press of a button, the Sentinel launched the first salvo, a series of electromagnetic pulses designed to disable the planet's outer defenses. The electromagnetic shockwave hit the Council's satellite network in seconds, rendering it useless. No alarms, no signals, just a massive blackout in the heart of the Empire. Then came the drones, human-made, but powered by stolen alien technology. Hundreds of them, slicing through the now defenseless atmosphere, targeted key military installations. The Sentinel-S disruptors unleashed their power, neutralizing the planetary shield and leaving the Council's world exposed to a barrage of attack. Earth's first strike was precise, calculated, and devastating. Alia watched as the chaos unfolded below. The Council's towering defense structures were crumbling, their once impenetrable lines of defense torn apart in seconds. But there was no time to savor the victory. The real battle had just begun. "Status report," she demanded. "Outer defenses neutralized," Quinlan replied, eyes flickering across her panel. "Shield grid is down. We've got incoming fire from their surface cannons, but it's weak." They weren't prepared for this level of disruption. Alia's lips curled into a faint smile. They won't be prepared for what's coming next. The Sentinel and the rest of the human fleet dove deeper into the planet's atmosphere, the stealth technology still cloaking them from detection. They had the element of surprise, but the window of advantage was closing fast. The Council would scramble to retaliate, but it was too late. "Deploy the second wave," Alia ordered. This was the moment that would decide everything. From the belly of the Sentinel came the second wave, human Marines, the most elite soldiers Earth had to offer, prepared to infiltrate and dismantle the heart of the Council's operations. The planet's surface was now exposed, and humanity was ready to take it. As the Marines descended, Alia's mind raced. There was no turning back now. If the Council had underestimated humanity before, they would soon learn the price of their arrogance. This wasn't just an invasion, it was a reckoning. As the fleet pushed further into the heart of the galaxy, the first strike had delivered more than just physical damage. It had shattered the Council's pride, their illusion of invulnerability. And in that moment, the galaxy realized humanity was no longer a joke. The tide had shifted. The war had begun. The human fleet had delivered a blow unlike any the Galactic Council had ever anticipated. Earth's forces, small in number but vast in ambition, had shattered the myth of the galaxy's invincible rulers. As the dust settled over the Council's homeworld, the rest of the galaxy, silent and watchful, prepared for the fallout. Commander Alia Cross stood at the helm of the Sentinel, eyes fixed on the now damaged planet below. The first strike had been a success, far more than they had hoped for, but the real challenge was only beginning. The Council had underestimated humanity's resolve, but they would soon learn that Earth was not a species to be dismissed. The Sentinel and its fleet of warships hovered in the cold void, awaiting orders. But this time, Alia knew it wasn't enough to simply deliver more damage. Humanity's next move would decide their place in the galaxy forever. If the Council responded with force, Earth would have to be ready, not just to defend itself, but to seize control. "Lieutenant Quinlan," Alia said, breaking the silence that had gripped the bridge. "What's the status on Council comms?" Quinlan's fingers flew across her console as she processed the incoming data. "They're scrambling, Commander. Their communications are in disarray. The blackout hit their systems harder than we expected, but they're trying to re-establish contact with the rest of the fleet." Alia nodded, her mind racing. The Council was panicking, but it wouldn't be long before they gathered their forces for retaliation. The window of opportunity was closing. The next move had to count. "Captain Briggs," she called out, "is the fleet ready for a second wave?" Briggs stood at his post, his expression unreadable. "We're good to go, Commander. Our ships are repaired and ready for the next phase. The real question is whether we strike while they're down or wait for them to regroup." Alia's lips curled into a thin smile. "We don't wait. The longer we give them to prepare, the harder it will be to maintain the element of surprise. They had caught the Council off guard once. But that was just the beginning. Humanity wasn't here to play by their rules. They were here to carve out a place in the galaxy, no matter the cost. "Deploy the second wave," Alia ordered, her voice unwavering. The second wave was different. This time, it wasn't just a surgical strike on a single planet. It was an all-out offensive. Earth's fleet spread out, moving into the galactic core with the precision of a well-oiled machine. The Sentinel led the charge, cloaked in silence, as it entered the heart of the Council's command center. But this wasn't just a battle of firepower. It was a battle of ideologies. The Council's centuries of dominance had made them blind to the potential of others. Earth was about to show them that strength wasn't always measured by size or age. It was measured by will. "We've broken through their defenses," Quinlan announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "We're inside their borders." Alia's eyes gleamed. "Good. Now let's remind them that humanity is no longer the underdog." The fleet surged forward, tearing through the heart of the Council's territory. Alien ships scrambled to respond, but they were disorganized and weak from the initial strike. The Council's once unshakable power was slipping away, and in its place, human determination surged. Earth's forces didn't just want to defeat the Council. They wanted to reshape the galaxy in their own image. The first signs of resistance came quickly. A massive fleet of alien warships appeared from behind a nearby moon, their weapons charging and their shields up. The Council's response was swift, but it was too late. Humanity had already seized the initiative. Captain Briggs smirked as he watched the alien ships approach. "Time to show them how we fight," he muttered under his breath. The Sentinel fired first. The ship's newly acquired alien weapons were devastating in their power, ripping through enemy shields and tearing apart warships with a speed that left the Council reeling. Earth's ships followed suit, each one equipped with the same advanced weaponry. The battle quickly escalated into a full-scale conflict, but this time, humanity wasn't retreating. They were pushing forward, gaining ground with every passing minute. As the human fleet advanced, Alia could see the shifting tides. The Council's once impenetrable defenses were crumbling. Their ancient ships, powerful but slow, were no match for the swift, adaptive tactics of Earth's forces. The tide was turning, and the Council was beginning to realize that their once unquestioned reign was coming to an end. "This is just the beginning," Alia said, her voice firm. "We've shown them our power. Now we show them our resolve." But even as humanity surged forward, Alia knew the battle wasn't over. The Council's leaders were desperate, and they would do anything to reclaim their lost ground. Their next move would be their most dangerous yet. As the fleet continued to push deeper into Council territory, Alia's mind raced with the possibilities. The war was far from won, but the future of the galaxy was now in humanity's hands. Earth's forces had proven their strength, and they were not going to back down. The human tide was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same. They thought they could break humanity, but it was the galaxy that was about to shatter. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth's will, and now they were paying the price. Humanity's second wave of attacks had disrupted their defenses and left their fleets in disarray. The Council, in their desperation, scrambled to form a counterattack, but their once unshakable empire was teetering on the brink. The truth was clear now. The galaxy's long-standing rulers were no longer untouchable. Commander Alia Cross stood at the helm of the Sentinel, her gaze locked on the chaos unfolding across the galaxy. The Council's fleet was in disarray, their once pristine warships struggling to maintain order. Earth's forces had delivered blow after blow, and the Council was reeling. It was a rare moment of weakness for an empire that had ruled for millennia, and Alia knew they wouldn't stay down for long. "Lieutenant Quinlan," Alia's voice cut through the tension on the bridge. "What's their status?" Quinlan's fingers flew across the console, her brow furrowed in concentration. "They're regrouping, but it's too late for them to mount a significant resistance. Their communication systems are still compromised, and their fleets are spread thin." Alia nodded, her mind already calculating the next move. Earth's advantage was slipping away, and the window to strike decisively was closing fast. The Council would soon realize that the threat to their empire was far from over. "They'll come after us with everything they have," Captain Briggs said, his voice gruff. "They won't just roll over." Alia's lips curled into a thin smile. "I know, and that's exactly what we want." Earth's forces weren't here to simply disrupt the Council's power. They were here to break it, to send a message to the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. It was a game of nerves now. Would the Council double down, or would they crumble under the pressure? The Sentinel and its fleet moved deeper into Council territory, cutting through space with ruthless precision. Each ship was armed with the latest weaponry, some alien, some human-made, and they weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting to dominate, to take control of the future. The message was clear. Humanity was ready to lead. A series of alarms blared on the bridge. Quinlan's voice rang out, urgent and steady. "Incoming enemy fleet. It's their last-ditch attempt to drive us out. Estimated time to contact, 3 minutes." Alia straightened, her posture tense. The final battle was upon them. The Council's last hope lay in its fleet, their most powerful ships, commanded by their most seasoned generals. This was where it all came down to. Humanity's resolve would be tested like never before. "Prepare for impact," Alia ordered. "Full shields. Keep them from advancing past our perimeter." The battle unfolded in a blur of flashing lights and violent explosions. The Council's fleet, though outnumbered, was still formidable. Their ships were older, more experienced, and heavily armed. But Earth's fleet was faster, more agile, and above all, more determined. The Sentinel weaved through enemy fire, her advanced technology allowing her to dodge blows with precision. The battle was fierce, but humanity's strategic advantage was clear. They weren't just fighting with brute strength, they were fighting with purpose. Briggs barked orders as their enemies closed in. "Target their command ships. If we take down their leadership, the rest of their fleet will fall apart." Alia's voice was calm but commanding. "Agreed. Focus all fire on their flagships. We end this here." The Sentinel fired first, its powerful disruptors cutting through enemy shields like paper. The first of the Council's flagships crumpled under the weight of the assault, its massive hull buckling and disintegrating in an instant. Earth's fleet followed suit, targeting the other command ships with deadly accuracy. The Council's forces began to fracture. Without their leaders, their ships lost coordination, turning what had once been a formidable fleet into a disorganized mess. The Council had no idea how to respond. Their last-ditch counterattack had failed, and now they were fighting for survival. Alia watched as the final remnants of the Council's fleet were destroyed. The battle had been hard fought, but the outcome was undeniable. Humanity had claimed victory. Victory over an empire that had once ruled the stars with impunity. "We did it," Quinlan said, her voice filled with disbelief. Alia's eyes were cold as she surveyed the wreckage. "This is only the beginning. The Council is broken, but their influence still stretches across the galaxy. We've won a battle, but the war isn't over." Humanity had proven it could defeat the galaxy's mightiest empire, but the true reckoning had yet to come. The Council might have fallen, but the power vacuum left in its wake would spark new conflicts. Other species would rise to take the Council's place, and Earth would be right there, ready to meet them head-on. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's resolve. But now it was clear, Earth would shape the future. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity took the stars for itself. The last remnants of the Galactic Council's once mighty empire lay in ruins, scattered across the void of space. What had once seemed like an unstoppable force had crumbled under the weight of humanity's resolve. Earth had made its mark on the galaxy, and the universe would remember. Commander Alia Cross stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, her gaze fixed on the debris of the battle. The fleet had completed its final sweep, and the aftermath of the Council's defeat was undeniable. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted. Humanity was no longer a fringe species fighting for survival. It was now a dominant force in the galaxy. "We've secured the core sectors," Lieutenant Quinlan reported, her fingers flying across the console. "The remaining Council fleets are retreating, and the diplomatic channels are being flooded with messages from the other species." Alia nodded, her mind racing. The Council had fallen, but the true challenge was just beginning. The galaxy had lived under the Council's rule for centuries, and now, with that power broken, a new age was dawning, an age where humanity would lead. "Prepare a transmission to the galaxy," Alia ordered. "It's time we make our message clear." She turned to face the crew. "The war is over. The Council's empire has crumbled, but we are just getting started. We will lead this galaxy. We will forge alliances where the Council built walls. We will protect the weak, challenge the strong, and ensure that every species knows the price of underestimating humanity." Captain Briggs stepped forward, a rare smile crossing his face. "Let's hope the galaxy's ready for us." Alia gave him a sharp nod. They won't have a choice. The Sentinel moved through space, the flagship of a new era. The rest of the human fleet followed, a symbol of humanity's strength and newfound purpose. The galaxy was vast, but it was no longer the playground of the ancient empires. It was humanity's turn to shape the future. As the transmission reached its destination, the message was clear. The Galactic Council had fallen, but humanity had risen. Earth's forces would be a force for change, and no species would be able to ignore their presence again. "We've made our mark," Quinlan said, her voice filled with awe. Alia's gaze never left the display. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy is wide, and we will be its architects." With the fall of the Council, the power vacuum left in its wake had already begun to stir new alliances, new rivalries, and new conflicts. Some species would rise to take the Council's place, and others would challenge humanity's claim. But Alia knew one thing: Earth would not be caught off guard again. They would not be underestimated again. The true test of humanity's strength would come not from the battlefields, but from the diplomacy that would follow. The Council had fallen, but the universe was not yet ready to bow to humanity. The real challenge would be navigating the new political landscape that had been born from the ashes of war. "We've won the battle," Alia said, her voice resolute. "Now we will win the peace." The future of the galaxy was in their hands. The fight had been brutal, but humanity had proven its worth. Earth had claimed its place in the stars, and no empire, no matter how ancient or powerful, could ever take it away. As the Sentinels sailed through the void, Alia could already see the horizon of a new era beginning to take shape. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been secured, and its influence would stretch far beyond the reaches of any council. The dawn of a new era had begun, and this time, humanity would lead the way.